Hey everybody, that Eli Tomac was back here in just the nick of time for Daytona International Speedway's edition of Monster Energy Supercross, a race that he always seems to do well in, but perhaps even Tomac has realized that even he can't predict himself. Because even though he's won 3 of the last 4 events here now and narrowly missed winning last year's event, which would have made him 4 in a row, he even told me on press day that this track could be really good for him or really bad. It's just been a long time since we've seen the bad for Tomac at this event, because he was absolutely rolling and ends up winning it again, and it leads us back into the vicious cycle of figuring out which Tomac we're going to get next week. Is a championship run about to begin? Who the heck knows, man? Let's get into your recap from Daytona, brought to you by the good folks at Racetech. We'll have a set of gold valves, as always. We're giving away. Link and information to email them to enter is in the video description. Gold valves will make your suspension plusher, but also have better bottoming resistance and more traction, and it's all engineered and made right here in the USA. So Tomac wins, and I know when you come to Daytona, everyone thinks of it as the gnarliest track of the year, and it still was. But what was interesting was the 450 riders were actually surprised that it didn't get as beat up as they've seen it in the past, and that was a good thing because it probably was the most technical Daytona track, jump-wise, that we've perhaps ever seen. And it led to some fantastic racing early in the race. Usually, Tomac's night is decided with the start. I know that that's generally the case for everyone, but his starts have been exceptionally bad this year compared to most of the contenders, and that's really what hurt him last time out in Atlanta. This time he got a good start, and a couple riders passed Tomac early. He was not in the flow, as he said. He wasn't finding the lines. The first 4 or 5 laps were absolutely furious between Tomac, his teammate Joey Savatgy, Marvin Musquin, Cooper Webb. They were all in the mix. Blake Baggett as well. And as Tomac got shuffled back, it was looking like it might have been one of those nights for Eli. But then he figured it out and turned it into one of those nights. So for the first time ever, we actually got a little of both Tomacs rolled into one race. But once he got going, there was nothing anyone could do with him. And he takes that victory and does close within 19 points of series leader Cooper Webb. That's some good news if you're a Tomac fan. But at the same time, Cooper Webb is taking a positive out of this. He manages to grind out a second, and I asked him after the race if it's getting more and more difficult to play the humble underdog game that he used at the beginning of the season, now that he continues to lead the points late in the year. And Cooper said, look, I got all the motivation I need. I got totally smoked by Tomac tonight, so I know I've got a lot of work to do. So don't expect the Webb wagon to come completely off the rails or unhinged or whatever wagons do, because tonight he's still aware that Tomac is very much alive, but he did manage to once again fend off his teammate Marvin Musquin, who was third. It is so bizarre if you go really deep inside the numbers of Webb and Musquin. I would almost bet you that there are more races this year where Musquin has had a better lap time in the main event than Webb, and yet Webb is carrying 5 wins and the points lead, and Musquin is tied for second in the series and still doesn't have a win. He was able to catch and even get around Webb at times, but then made mistakes, Musquin, and was unable to get back around his teammate at the end. Remember, he was all over him in Atlanta, made a mistake, wasn't able to get back to him. You can go all the way back to Oakland when he was all over him, but he had made a mistake and wasn't able to get around him. Marvin seemed awfully happy to be on the podium in a tough race like this, but to see the fact that you're just as quick as the guy that's won 5 races and you don't have any wins right now, that's got to be a little frustrating. And one other note in the 450 class, tough one for Ken Roczen, who came into this race second in the series. He and his teammate Cole Seeley were down early. They had to come from outside of the top 20. Roczen ends up 8th. That's going to drop him to 4th in the standings. For now, the ever-elusive win for Roczen. We still wait. In the 250 class, the story remains the same. Austin Forkner has been aces in the 250 SX East Division. He got another good start. There was a good battle early with him and a couple of riders, but in the end, he comes out on top. Chase Sexton and Justin Cooper have been solid podium guys all year, but they have yet to solve the Forkner riddle. And one other rider watch, Blake Baggett, solid performance. He's in 4th. He was right there battling with Webb and Musquin the entire time. Consider Baggett the championship spoiler in the 450 class. We're off to Indianapolis with one major question. Which Eli Tomac is going to show up? We'll see.